Hi everyone, I'm Sehr Mahmood, founder of My Condo Source. My team has sold more than $1 billion of real estate in the last 3 years. Last year alone, we sold over 400 pre-construction condos in Toronto and received some of the top awards in the industry. As a result of this success, we're given platinum access to the most sought-after developments across the Greater Toronto Area. The objective of this video is all about teaching you what you need to know when buying a pre-construction condo. We'll start with the basics, I'll share things to look out for when doing your research, and we'll dive into the details of what you can anticipate when going through the process. Most importantly, I'm going to show you how you can secure a suite at opening prices with the best incentives and expand your real estate portfolio no matter how much or little experience you have. Over the past decade, the Toronto real estate boom has made pre-construction condos one of the most popular types of purchases, both by end users and investors alike. It's also created an unbelievable amount of wealth and transformed the skyline that you see in the city today. Let's start by explaining exactly what I mean when I say pre-construction condos. Essentially, you're buying a condo at current market prices that's going to be built in the future, usually 3 to 6 years down the road. This is accomplished by selecting your suite from a floor plan and marketing collateral provided by the developer. If you're working with a top platinum agent, there's often added incentives and benefits beyond pricing, which we'll get into a bit later. Purchasing without being able to physically see the space may sound intimidating or scary, but there's a number of benefits to this strategy. The first benefit is that your deposits are spread out over time. With a resale property, you're required to come up with a large amount of funds in a very short period of time. Often it's as short as 30 to 60 days. In pre-construction, deposits are spread out over a number of years, giving you an opportunity to save up between installments. A second advantage is that purchasers aren't required to get a mortgage until the building is complete. This is great if you're unable to qualify for a mortgage today, as you're able to lock in a price while taking the necessary steps to secure one in the future. A third benefit is that purchasing a pre-construction condo is a very passive way to invest in real estate. You don't have any of the headaches associated with being a landlord, such as vacancies, missed rent payments, or damage to your property. Once you sign your agreement, you simply have to wait until the building is complete and benefit from the appreciation of the market. As you begin your search for a pre-construction condo, you may notice a large amount of developments rising throughout the city. One of the most frequent questions I get asked is, who's going to buy and live in all these condos? In fact, Toronto has more cranes in the sky than any other city in North America, which could sound concerning from a supply perspective. But the reality is that demand continues to far outpace supply for housing units in the GTA. This is one of the main reasons that we've seen such upward pressure on prices this past decade. On top of a strong local demand, did you know that the federal government has set a target to bring 1.2 million new immigrants to the country over the next 3 years, with more than half expected to settle into the Greater Toronto Area? If the average household is 3 people, we would need over 66,000 new units coming to market every single year in order to meet demand. On average, the GTA sees just over 25,000 new units a year constructed, falling well short of demand for housing. To further show the strength of the market, developers are not able to secure construction financing until 75% of their building has been sold. This means that when you see a condo being built, the majority, if not all the suites, have already been sold. So what's the process when buying a pre-construction condo? If you're purchasing in a development that has just launched, understand there's a handful of agents who have real access to secure suites for their clients. These agents and this initial step of the sale is referred to as platinum. Depending on the development, you'll either visit the sales office in person or have a discussion over the phone or Zoom. This is when you'll learn about the development, go over what you require in a suite, review floor plans, and have all your questions answered. Once we've narrowed down your selection, we fill out a worksheet and get a bank draft for that first deposit. This is fully refundable in the event that you determine that this purchase isn't right for you. Submitting the draft with your worksheet helps you stand out from other buyers and shows the developer that you're serious. This step is extremely important in the process as developers typically only give platinum agents less than 24 hours with their allocated suites on that launch date. If there is no confirmed buyer, the unit will be taken back and sold to the next buyer in line, potentially at a higher price. The final step is to sign the agreement of purchase and sale once a suite has been allocated to you. You'll be completing this either in person or via DocuSign. Once it's signed by you, it'll be sent to the developer to be executed on their side. Once completed, your 10-day cooling period begins. It's important to know that these are calendar days, so weekends and holidays count. One of the secrets to securing a suite at a development in the GTA right now is to be extremely flexible. My most successful clients provide at least 3 different floor plan options in their selections, and they're open to a variety of floors. Remember that securing a suite in this phase of the sale often means picking from the best inventory, saving tens of thousands of dollars, and receiving incentives that future buyers won't. So it's important not to fall in love with a specific floor plan or floor number. Now that you're familiar with the process, how do you go about finding that best project? At any given time, there's dozens of different developments being sold in the GTA. So without a solid game plan, it can be overwhelming when trying to select which one is right for you. I advise clients to focus on 3 key factors when purchasing a pre-construction condo, which will help narrow their search. Factor number 1, location. Whether you're an investor or end user, location is the foundation of your search. Investors should ideally look for developments that are surrounded by amenities and conveniences that make it attractive for a tenant or a future purchaser to want to live there. Being located within 1 kilometer to mass transit historically has yielded much greater annual appreciation than those developments further away. End users should seek to balance the above with a location that meets their lifestyle requirements. Factor number 2, the developer. The second thing you should consider is who's building the development. What experience do they have building this type of product? What do owners in their existing buildings say about living there? What's their reputation in the industry? We want to ensure that what you buy today is going to be delivered to you when you close down the road. Factor number 3, the incentives. Incentives are essentially bonuses that the developer is offering as part of the agreement of the purchase and sale. To fully grasp what each incentive is and the benefit it serves, it's important that you fully understand the closing process in pre-construction. The first phase of your closing is called interim occupancy. This occurs when your suite is complete, the developer deems the building is livable, and owners start to move in. Because many common areas are not yet finished, title can be switched over to the owners, and therefore a mortgage can't be registered. This occupancy period usually lasts anywhere from 3 to 6 months in most buildings. During this time, owners pay what's called an occupancy fee to the developer monthly, which consists of 3 different items: estimated maintenance fees, estimated property taxes, and interest on the outstanding balance of your purchase price. After interim closing comes final closing. This will be a date selected by the developer, which occurs once construction is complete and the city finalizes their inspections. It's the time your lawyer will register a mortgage, you pay your closing costs, and the suite gets transferred into your name. Now that you understand the difference between interim and final closing, here are 3 sought-after incentives for any pre-construction development. Incentive number 1, free or reduced cost assignment. The right to assign allows you to sell your suite before final closing to a different purchaser who then takes over your obligation to close with the developer. The goal when assigning is to earn a substantial profit between the time you buy and when the suite is sold. A free or reduced cost assignment can add thousands of dollars to your profit from the sale. Incentive number 2, right to lease during occupancy. Some builders restrict rentals during the occupancy period as purchasers that aren't able to close will leave them with a tenant and lease on an unsold unit. Having the right to lease during this period allows you to secure a tenant and earn revenue while waiting for final closing to occur. It also speeds up the HST rebate process, which we'll get into later. Incentive number 3, capped development charges. Development charges are costs levied by the city and passed on from developers to purchasers. In many instances, these are the proportionate costs of added infrastructure to support the building, such as sewer lines, stop signs, traffic lights, etc. Because the construction period can be years away, it's impossible for the developer to quote you exactly what these costs will be. To protect yourself, you want to ensure there's a maximum amount these fees can go to. This is called capping the development fees. If the fees charged by the city are higher than your cap, the developer will pay the difference, and if they're lower than your cap, you pay the lesser amount. The point of this incentive is to ensure that you know what the maximum amount these fees can be. I always tell my clients to assume you'll be paying the full amount so that there's no surprises on final closing. These are just 3 of many possible incentives that developers offer. Each project is going to be different and should be discussed on an individual basis to ensure that you're getting the best possible package. In the province of Ontario, purchasers of a pre-construction condo are entitled to a 10-day cooling-off period, which begins when you and the developer have both signed the agreement of purchase and sale. The purpose of the 10-day cooling period is to provide you with enough time to review both the agreement and the condominium documents and to ensure that you're comfortable with your decision. More importantly, this is when you should have everything reviewed by a lawyer, preferably one that understands pre-construction sales, as the paperwork is very different from a resale transaction. This is also the time to speak to your bank or mortgage broker and get a pre-approval letter. Remember that this is different and more simple than qualifying for a regular mortgage. A great pre-construction team will be able to offer you pre-approval services through one of our referral partners. Once you enter the 10-day cooling period, you're going to want to have a lawyer review your documents. An agreement of purchase and sale for a pre-construction condo is usually between 50 to 100 pages, much larger than the traditional resale agreement. In addition to this, you will receive a set of condominium documents, which is the document that sets out the rules and regulations of the condo and breaks down what the projected maintenance fees are expected to be. Typically, the structure and basic elements in an agreement stay fairly standard across different developments. Therefore, your pre-construction lawyer is really looking for any changes, discrepancies, or vague clauses that may be of significant importance or need to be clarified. They're also checking to ensure that all incentives are either included in the standard APS or promised in writing via an amendment. Once your 10-day cooling period ends, the deal is now firm, so it's important to have this sorted out before the period ends. Remember earlier when I said that buying and owning pre-construction real estate is passive in nature? This is because between the time that you buy and get the keys, there isn't much that you're required to do as the owner. You can expect to receive some communication from the developer when they've hit certain targets or if there's any significant updates. Besides that, the most exciting part is getting to drive by the site and watching the development progress. Before you take occupancy, you'll get to visit the decor center and select all your finishes and colors. Your imagination is the only limit here, where you can leave it completely standard or upgrade the suite to exactly suit your taste and preference. Something I do with my own personal properties is to add reminders to my calendar for deposit dates so that required funds are where they need to be before they're withdrawn from my account. This way, you never have to wonder when that next payment is due and avoid potential NSF charges. When the building is almost complete, the developer will call you in for your pre-delivery inspection, or PDI as it's better known. This is the first time you get to walk through the building and see your completed suite. You should make it a priority to attend this inspection. The purpose is to ensure firsthand what items are outstanding, need fixing, or need to be replaced before final closing, and that everything promised in the agreement of purchase and sale has been delivered. Anything that needs to be remedied is documented and submitted to the developer. Remember, you purchased a brand new condo and you want it turned over to you in a perfect condition before you or your tenant moves in. When it comes to final closing, clients should budget between 0.5 to 1% of their purchase price to cover additional closing costs beyond what was mentioned earlier. This covers things not included in the development charges such as Tarion home warranty, water and utility hookups, and items such as arts and park levies. Lastly, there may be a portion of your HST payable on final closing depending on the reason that you purchased your suite. If you're an end user, HST is included in your purchase price and you won't be seeing any additional charges on closing. However, if you're an investor, you're required to pay a portion of the HST up to a maximum of $24,500. Once the building is registered, you've completed final closing, and there's a 1-year lease in place, you file for a rebate by filling out a specific form with the CRA and attaching your lease. The government structures the process like this because they want to ensure that as an investor, you are in fact providing much needed housing to the city and not just leaving your suite empty. Usually within 60 to 90 days, you'll receive a check in the mail for the entire amount minus processing fees. Another common question I get from buyers is how are they protected when purchasing a condo here in Ontario? Fortunately, Tarion, the government agency who regulates the development industry here, has a number of safeguards in place to keep your deposits safe. The number one risk when buying pre-construction real estate is that a building gets cancelled after you purchase. Although condo cancellations make all the headlines and news articles, they make up a very small percentage overall compared to the number of condos launched to the market and are completed. Tarion requires that all deposits be held by the developer's law firm in trust until the development is completed and cannot be used for marketing or during the construction process. In the rare event that a building does get cancelled, developers are required to return the funds to all the purchasers within a matter of days. There are a few things you can do to reduce the chance of this happening. 1. Do your due diligence by researching the developer and find out what they've previously completed. While the past isn't always a guarantee of the future, it will give you a good idea if they can execute on all that they are promising. 2. On the front page of your agreement, it is required that the developer lets you know in writing whether or not they've received zoning approval for the development. If the site is approved, you can be more confident that the building will move forward, as this is one of the major reasons that developments are cancelled or significantly delayed. Zoning approvals can take years to be granted, so having that in place is a big piece of the puzzle. While it's impossible to eliminate every element of risk, following these steps and working with a highly experienced Platinum team will stack the odds of success in your favor. I hope that you found the information shared in this video valuable. If you have a question about something that wasn't covered or need additional information, reach out to myself or a member of my team. I'm Sehr Mahmood, founder of My Condo Source. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.